So, good morning, Barry. Thanks for joining us on Business Owner Spotlight this week. I appreciate you coming on board. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and just let us know a bit about what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Barry Grant and I'm the founder of Protec Recovery here in Derry. Essentially, we are developing devices that make recovery and wellness technology accessible to athletes of all levels, all abilities. We've been in R&D now probably 2 years, developing out a range of sort of bespoke devices, and we launched in April of this year, and it's going pretty good so far.
Happy days. And how are you finding getting the products across to you? Or is that a bit of an issue, supply chain and stuff like that?
Yeah, it is. So at the start, whenever I first had planned ahead or what we wanted to do when we wanted to launch, I kind of went into probably a bit naive, and I thought that we had to do it over a 6 month, 9 month period, and move mountains, and it just didn't work out like that. So we came across a couple of issues, especially with the tooling and the molding of different pieces, and lockdowns here and lockdowns in the Far East with our manufacturing partners as well. That really affected us with the supply chain, and then just getting the stuff in general, Scott, as well, has proved very difficult. Yeah. So a few challenges there for you, but you're making headway with some of those challenges. We are indeed, yeah. We've got most of it ironed out now. All of the development has been done so far. We have got a few smaller things in the pipeline, but as I say, the vast majority of it was done up front, and that's kind of the strategy that we went with. We didn't really want to go to market with something that wasn't ready. Of course. Also, what we have now is rival whatever is out there in the market, and I'll be confident in saying that too. Fantastic. So tell me a wee bit more about who your ideal customer would be. Who would you sell most of your product to? So we've had a lot of interest from professional teams within Ireland and within GB as well. In an ideal sense, they would be the ideal customer. However, we cater toward the modern athlete, so that's kind of our differentiator within this market. We don't care whether somebody's an elite athlete running out in front of 30,000-40,000 people every Saturday or Sunday. Or it could be anybody it could be an NHS nurse that spent 12 hours on her feet, going home, lying up, and wanting something to kind of relieve a bit of stress or pain or muscle fatigue or whatever that may be. So that's the athlete that we speak to. In an ideal sense, that'll probably be the ideal customer, I would say, because you're actually making a tangible difference to someone's life. Yeah, so just really anybody who needs to relieve stress and a bit of pain then? Yeah. Historically, this kind of market would have been catered toward the elite athletes and the top of the top in terms of professional teams. Yeah. We're trying to flip that script on its head and trying to make it accessible to everybody, in a way that, in terms of the retail, having an educational element to the whole thing. Okay. Crafting a story as to how these products or devices actually do make a difference in people's lives. And yeah, that's a challenge in itself. Yeah, so you mentioned there about maybe a nurse, and I suppose the principle's the same as speaking to the top athlete. You just want to improve the performance of those people given their job and their role. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to essentially redefine the term, or the traditional definition of the word athlete. So if you think of athlete, you're automatically going to think somebody that's a professional, getting paid millions a year, they're in great shape, all the rest of it. But we're trying now to essentially redefine that in terms of it's more about your characteristics that make the athlete. So you've got your own sort of passions, your hobbies, your commitment to something, maybe your routines. You've got particular ways of doing things, but that all kind of requires a mental commitment. So in the case of, let's say, a nurse, she's got a commitment to her job, she's got a commitment to her patients. You might have somebody in an office job that they've got a commitment to whatever clients they have on a daily basis. There's just different ways of looking at it, Scott. And there's obviously some people's might be a lot more stressful than others, but we're all within the same realm in terms of characteristics, passions, hobbies, routines, things like that. No, I really like that idea of just trying to lift everybody's performance.
Yeah, that's cool. So you mentioned there, sort of April. It's been going. What's been? We talked a little bit about supply chain, but what's been your biggest learning since you've been in business?
Uh, it would definitely be that there's much more to business than just like sales and marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah, you go on to like social media now, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it may be, and you see all these entrepreneurs, if they want to call themselves that, and they tell yourself that you make a six-figure business in 30 days, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
yeah,
Unfortunately, there's a lot of things to do in the background, and there's a lot of foundational work has to go into it. Nearly the fundamentals of business, and I was probably lucky enough that I graduated from University of Ulster in Jordanstown with an accountancy degree, so
sure.
that was a big help to me
Of course.
in going at this. Definitely, if sales and marketing, yes, like it's very, very important, but it's not the be all end all.
Yeah, you've got to have the infrastructure around it. Then once you get the orders, you have to be able to deliver them.
Yeah, you have to do infrastructure. Definitely.
And aside then supply chain, has there been any other major challenges you've had to face?
Probably just going at it from a stop start.
Yeah,
So I've tried to share a few things on like my personal channels, my personal like LinkedIn and things like that there, just to kind of get out there that this is what we're doing, this is what we're building, and this is what we're trying to do. If you're interested, we love your help.
sure.
Those wee things. But reaching out to people, like it's probably the most difficult thing, because you reach out to, let's say, 10 people, and you might maybe get 2, 3, 4 replies, and it's hard to kind of take the other people don't reply or the knockbacks personally, but you just kind of get on with it now, and you get immune to it.
Yes.
People are busy, they might miss the message, they might not see it. There's a whole host of things that might fall into it, so you just kind of get on with it, you roll your sleeves up and you just move on.
Yeah, but just takes a bit of time to build up that thick skin, doesn't it?
Takes a bit of time, yeah, definitely.
So, who has been the best coach you've ever had, and why? It doesn't have to be in business necessarily.
I'd probably say Kieran. He's my PE teacher was St. Holmes in Dripptown here, and he heard this now, he'd be sitting silent and laughing away to himself. Was my head all right? But he taught me a lot in terms of just hard work and perseverance, and kind of fulfilling whatever potential you might have. Where that was obviously, he had me in a sporting setting, but just even academically and in life in general, just something similar or something simple, Scott, is just like carrying your manners wherever you go, and just human things. He was very, very, very good with that. Like he's a great way of people. I'm sure anybody that knows him would agree. He's doing very well for himself now, and it's very much deserved.
And that you mentioned carrying your manners, for example, that would carry across for you as a business leader in terms of maybe your culture that you have in this new company. Would you agree with that?
My what? Sorry, my
culture that you're putting into your new company, and how everybody else then operates.
Yeah. So like, it's just the way I've been brought up. There's obviously times where we don't necessarily carry them all the time.
Of course.
First admit that, but 99% of the time, if you carry your manners with you, you'll go far in life. That's I genuinely believe that. And
have you picked up any favorite quotes or sayings then you've learned along the way?
There's a couple you come across, but there's an American author and speaker, Zig Ziglar, and he said in one of his books that, like, basically you don't build a business, you build the people that then build the business. I came across that. There was an article I was reading about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. They're saying that yes, Jeff Bezos, on the face of it, built Amazon, but he actually built the teams and built out Amazon itself. It didn't become a behemoth overnight, and it started with Bezos himself, and then it started off with employee 2, employee number 3, employee number 4, and it scaled out from there.
Goes from there, yeah. So getting the right people in place around you to support you essentially and build a business.
Yeah, big believer in that. Yeah.
And what does the future look like for you guys then? And what do you see as the main challenges moving forward?
Main challenges would definitely be supply chain. We spoke about before. You have a very fine line in terms of POs and what you order. it's hard to say, especially where we're at the minute, of what your sales velocity be like. You could sell out in a month, you could sell out over 6 months. We just don't really have that data yet to go off.
Sure.
But we'll try and project and try and budget for that as best we can, I suppose. But
yeah,
in terms of like what the future looks like, I definitely see Protec becoming one of the main players in that recovery and wellness tech market. I see us in Premier League teams, I see us partnering with Championship teams, Scottish teams, rugby teams. I've no doubt I would stand in any corner of Ireland and say that what we have is as good as what's out there on the market.
yeah.
No qualms about it. So
yeah,
there's a lot to go into that in terms of execution, but fingers crossed, we're going right.
Yeah, so the future's bright then. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, fingers crossed. To say there's a lot of water to pass under the bridge before then, but if we keep doing the way we're approaching it now, I genuinely believe that'll come to fruition. Like,
so you talked about at the start, your projections of how you may be a wee bit naive, at the start. What would you say to somebody else going into business for themselves just now?
I would say just realize what you're getting into. It's not as straightforward as it looks. It's not really a case of just doing your own thing or being fit to work your own hours or anything out there. It's a real hard slog. Just be prepared for what you're getting into. Yeah, the people have this utopia that when the sun shines they'll hit the beach, but it's not just like that all the time. Sure, it's not. There's times where the beach seems very far away. Right. If you were to start the business again, if you start your company again, is there anything else you would do differently? I'd probably refocus myself much earlier, Scott, to be honest. At the start, again, it was going back that maybe I was a bit younger. I was 22, 23 when we first started looking at this, and we thought we were going to take on the world, and you're really guilty of getting shiny object syndrome and things like that. Only probably when I was like, right, let's sit down here and actually figure out what we're doing or what our actual market is that we're targeting. It was then that we really started to make genuine progress, tangible progress, that you actually had samples coming in that you had designed and sat and 3D modeling yourself and you had it physically in your hand. That was the bit I was like, right, this is a goal. Like, this is what we're focusing on. This is what we're trying to build. Becomes a bit more real then. Yeah, it becomes way more real. Yeah. Listen, that's brilliant. Some brilliant insights in there. I like the just go into it with your eyes open, I think is what some people might need to hear. So thanks for getting involved. Really appreciate it. Yeah, no worries. It's good to be involved. Thanks very much for asking. Thanks. All right.